The rules for entrepreneurs. Rule 1. Don't borrow money. You will argue with this rule, and you'll be quite right. It's more of an aspiration than an outright rule. I realize that sometimes you have a great business idea that needs more funds than you can provide yourself. However, I want to persuade you that you should only go down this route if there's no alternative. I have a friend who started a business with a mate. They had a great idea, approached venture capitalists successfully, and launched their company. It did brilliantly, and 6 years later they sold it for £6 million. Of course, the venture capitalists owned most of the company, and my friend came away with a couple of $100,000. Very nice, but nowhere near what his backers made. Another friend started a company with 3 other people. They each put up a quarter of the money. They started small and reinvested their profits in the business. Like my other friend, they built a successful and acclaimed company. 20 years later, they sold the business for £40 million. How much did they come away with? Yep, £40 million. Sure, they had to pay tax on it, and there were some legal and accounting costs in selling the company, but they ended up pocketing the money they'd worked so hard to make. Even if you take out a loan rather than selling equity, you're then left servicing that loan, which will eat up your profits you wanted to put back into the business. Nevertheless, a loan beats venture capital almost every time. Now I accept that some business ideas really do need a lot of backing, and there's no alternative except not starting the business in the first place. Even if you make less money out of it in the end, you'll have enjoyed the process and the freedom of being in control, and you'll still have something to show for it when you sell, even if it's a small proportion of the sale price. So, I'm not saying you should never start a business if you can't fund it yourself. But recognize that it's not the no-brainer many of the books and advisors out there will imply. Explore all the alternatives before you look for outside money. And if you decide to borrow from family, think very carefully through the potential repercussions. If things go wrong, for the same reason, never sink your house, life savings, inheritance, or anything similar into a new venture without the full support of your partner. The interesting thing about those 2 examples I just gave you is that the 2 companies were in broadly the same line of business. The first one wanted to make a splash by launching onto the market with a wide range of products. Actually, the second one wanted to do the same thing, but because of their decision to fund themselves, they started up with just one solitary product, but it sold. So, they used the profits to add another 2 products to their range, and so on. And look at the difference that approach made. They could retire when they sold their business, while the first pair of entrepreneurs had to carry on working. So, before you start looking for other people's money to fund your enterprise, be absolutely certain that there's no alternative. It's pretty galling to sell up after years of hard graft and hand the hard-earned money over to someone else. Thank you. Please follow, subscribe, and share if you think it benefit for you and others.